Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Run Your Day podcast. Appreciate you coming on here. Dan Hafner, your host, as always. Excited and happy to be here with you guys today. I apologize for no episode yesterday. We got a new puppy recently. Yeah, so for those of you keeping track, we now have 3. And of all things, for the first thing the dog to actually chew was the cord to my Blue Yeti microphone. So I'm trying to plug it in and get it working, and found out that it had been chewed through. So we got a replacement cord. We're good to go. We're back in business, and we are puppy-proofed now. So let's get back to it. So today's topic, stepping back from the plunge. So last time, I apologize, I'm still a little congested here, but last time we talked about the 30-day plan, right? So I had recently been into unemployment here, and was just getting back into my system, right? Just discovering my system, my process, my morning routine, and just kind of getting into what worked for me. So the next thing that happened was when I was actually leaving this job, I had just been perusing like job boards, and I had found this opening for a job on Indeed, and the only reason I even considered it was because it was literally like down the street and like a block over from where I had just left. That was it. Like I had literally just bought would be the word. Literally just bought like a monthly membership to like a parking garage there that you had to do like 6 months of or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, I'm paying for this already. I can get a job down here. Like it's no big deal. So I applied for it. It was a sales gig. And basically was given an interview and was like, oh, this works out great. I can still take the same commute every day. It was like a 2 or 3 interview process, I think, but I really learned a lot. That was an eye-opening experience, and you'll actually learn more. I ended up taking the job, but not this time around. What actually happened was I went in. This was this was about the May time frame. Went in for the interview, and man, like the supervisor there, he's kind of notorious for just really grilling people because it's a tough job. It's cold call sales. It was tough, right? And I learned a lot. One of the biggest things I learned about myself was how negative I was. Like, he kept asking me questions like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you find desirable in a boss or in coworkers or work environment, right? And I was like, without even realizing this, I was pointing out like what I didn't want. I was answering the question in the form of like, well, I hate when this happens. I don't like this, and blah blah blah, and I don't like this in a person, blah blah blah. And he pointed it out. He actually called me out, and he's like, do you realize like you just answered that with like the negatives? And like, I literally remember sitting there in that interview, like, wow, I am programmed to just look at the negatives in everything. Like, that was literally a coming to moment for me. I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that had happened. Like, I was like that. And I've found over the past like year or so, like I still do that at times. Like that's like, honestly, that's like my default mode. I think a lot of us tend to be like a default mode towards negativity, right? Like we're very cynical beings. Oh, excuse me. As human beings, we're like programmed this way. We're programmed to be analytical, to poke holes in things, to test things, which is good, right? Like that's how progress is made. But at the same time, that can be like really unhealthy when it comes to like never seeing the positive side or the possible upside of anything. And this is where I was. Like I was in this place, and I left that interview thinking like, wow, I am so programmed to just see the negative in everything. And I like started looking, I was like, wow, like I see this in my relationships. I see this in my image of myself, in my feelings about myself, in the jobs that I've had, and the way I've treated other people. Like I just have always been negative Nancy. And once I realized this, I started making more of a conscious effort to like really just try to see the positives of things. You know, starting to try to look at things differently in my mind of, well, there's this negative thing about this person and this negative thing, whatever, but like, what good qualities do they have? Like, even if you hate someone, you can see good qualities in anyone that you have, right? Look at the president. No matter whether you like Donald Trump, whether you hate Donald Trump, whether you liked Barack Obama, whether you hated Barack Obama, if you just sit back and look at them as people, you can say, okay, I liked this trait that this person had, and I don't like these traits that this person has, right? But there's qualities in every single person that you can realize. Like Barack Obama was always just very, very real, right? Donald Trump, just a very, very smart businessman. Like there's certain things that are undeniable about, now granted, each of them has their flaws. I'm not trying to make this a political preference one way or the other. I'm just pointing out the facts of, like, if you just look at, we're always programmed, like whether you watch the news, whether you watch anything on Facebook or whatever, like we're programmed, like look at the news, for example. It's just all negative, like all the time. You rarely see positive stories, right? Like I don't even watch the news anymore. I'm so out of touch and out of date with what's going on in the news and the world. Like I don't pay attention to it anymore because it's just negative energy, right? And that's what I realized. I surrounded myself with negative energy, and this bled through into my brain. And like I just started to just default into this negative programming, right? So getting back to the interview process here, I basically left the interview and I was just really like not convinced that this was what I needed to do. Like it was a good opportunity. It was great. Like there's people that have made millions and millions of dollars off this job. And honestly, I was scared. I was scared for myself and like making this leap into becoming this person, even though that's what I wanted. I was just like, I don't know if this is the right time for me with everything that was going on with, I was recently married, with the business idea that I had, and I was very new to this personal growth stuff, right? So I was just very like hesitant to be like, well, this is what everyone says you have to do. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to bite off more than you can chew. You have to do different things in order to get different results. And this was literally an opportunity for me, staring me in the face, slapping me over the head. And I was scared. I was just like, no. Like I sat back and I thought about it, and he's like, well, why don't you just email me like in a couple days, and we'll go from there. And I sat down, I really thought about this for like hours and hours and hours. And I just got to the point where I was like, no, like this is not the right time for me to do this, right? So I sent him the email and I kind of disqualify myself from the job. Like I was going to get the job, but I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready for that job at that point in time. And I stepped back. I had literally stepped up to this edge of like, man, this is like sales. This is what I need to learn. This is what I need to do. I need to get uncomfortable. I need to push myself. I need to do things differently. And I backed off. Like I literally took my foot off the gas. And have you had moments like this in your life where you've been ready to just like jump into something, and then like the opportunity's literally there? It's like everything you've wanted for so long, and then you're like scared to do it. Like, oh, am I worthy of this? Or, oh, am I really ready for this? Or can I handle this? Or what's this going to make me become? Or like all these different thoughts go through your mind, right? And like I literally went through that and I backed off. Like I was scared. I didn't want to do it. And I literally took myself out of the job, and I went back to the old job that I had quit before when we first moved here. And it was tough. Like I'll get into that in the next episode, but I thought of this story to highlight, like, there are times where you go through these things and you will shrink down. And like I've been there. I've done that. True story. Very, very true story. And I eventually ended up going back to the job, which I'll get down to in future episodes here as a spoiler alert. But like I literally, I wasn't ready. And like the timing just wasn't right for me then. And I guess the lesson that I'm trying to teach you guys today through this episode here is like, despite everything that you hear either from this podcast or other podcasts you listen to about taking the leap and being uncomfortable and doing big things, like there's that moment where you're like really faced with it, when everything you want or everything you've been working for is right in front of you, And I think we all have these thoughts of like, wow, like, is this really, like, is this all it is? Or am I really ready for this? Or can I actually do this? And we self-sabotage ourselves. We self-sabotage ourselves. You know, when have you done this in your life? And if you're in the situation where maybe you've like worked towards something and you were about to get it, but then you backed off, or you self-sabotaged your way somehow, you know, it's not the end. Like, you can always go back, and I'll get into that probably in the next one, maybe 2 episodes, because I ended up going back to that job and re-going through the entire process and ended up getting it, and it was way better timing, and it worked out way better in the future than if I would have taken it then. Like, it's crazy looking back on it, how much better that opportunity was that I took it the second time rather than the first time. And it was a blessing in disguise. So, you know, these things happen for you. They don't happen to you, I guess is the main takeaway. Like, the things that, just because you think the timing's perfect doesn't mean that the universe thinks the timing's perfect, you know? So if you've backed away from the ledge before, it's okay. If you've done it multiple times, it's okay. You can always dive back in. You can't do it, you know, full on, like, despite everything you hear in the world about, this big sexy thing of like, oh, take the leap and go, or, you know, just decide and commit, right? And I've even talked about that before, but if you self-sabotage yourself in the past, it's okay. The best way to get around that is to just stop looking at the negatives and start filling your mind with positive thoughts in the positive direction, why you are deserving of it, why you are worthy of it, why you should get that promotion or have that relationship or have that new job or start that business or whatever your goal is. You know, you are worthy of it. You can do it. And just because you think that you can, or your mind is telling you can't, it's full of shit. It's full of shit, and you're capable of it. I know you are. I don't even know you, but I know that you are, because I know if you listen to the show, you connect with the same thought process and the same energy that I have. And I've done it. Like, I've failed. I've done it. I've succeeded. I've been through it all. And I'm here to tell you, like, the timing will work. It works itself out. Just because you're like, oh, I missed this opportunity, there's another one coming down the pipe, right? So the timing might always not be perfect, but there's always another opportunity. All right, so that's my takeaway for you guys. Hope you are still enjoying this ongoing saga of the Chronicles of Dan Hafner, I guess is what we could call it. So I really appreciate you guys coming on and joining here every day. Like I said, I apologize. We had some technical issues, literally, with our equipment here, but we've since been corrected, and we're trying to train the dog to not chew wires now. So hopefully we don't have any mishaps like that moving forward. We should not, and we'll be back with the next episode here tomorrow, for sure, my friends. All right, so that's the takeaway. Appreciate you guys coming on. As always, head over to runyourday.run for the free resources, the joining the mailing list, everything like that. Go ahead and opt in, get everything there, and check us out on Facebook and Twitter as well. So, as always, my friends, Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to the Run Your Day podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, feel free to share today's show with friends and family. Until next time, have a great day.